Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy 420, where today we are going to continue looking at starting pitchers for the upcoming 2019 fantasy baseball season. This is going to be part two of what I think is going to be a part three series because I really like some of the sleepers that we're going to get even after our last guy today. So I think tomorrow's video is going to be wrapping up starting pitchers, and then we'll move on to another topic. Once again, we're going to be using the fantasypros.com aggregate rankings. Since I don't know which site you're going to use for your draft, this will give you a base idea of where the pitchers are being taken. Last video, we left off at James Paxton, who was being picked at around pick 57. So moving on, our first name for today, I'm going to choose Patrick Corbin. He's being ranked number 62 on Fantasy Pros. He had a monster season last year. 250 strikeouts, 200 innings pitched, and had a 3.15 ERA. I don't think anybody expects that to happen again, especially after he did have a change of scenery. He moved from Arizona to Washington. Sometimes it takes a little bit for a player to acclimate to their new settings and whatnot, so that first year sometimes can be a little rocky. But that being said, that is baked into where he's being picked at pick 62. And the Arizona offense was in shambles this upcoming year with, I think, who they lost in the offseason. So I think the 11 wins that he saw last year should go up, moving into a better offense in Washington, whether or not Bryce Harper returns. And this is also a check your site candidate, because today, before I did this, he was at 82 on Yahoo, in which case I would definitely buy into him even with a little bit of baked-in regression. So that's going to be our first name on the list. Moving on, I'm going to go to Jack Flaherty. He was a player I had a lot of stock in last year. He's being picked at around 72. He had very similar ratios to Patrick Corbin last year. He had 182 strikeouts in 151 innings. And a 3.34 ERA. That's pretty impressive for a rookie season especially. So with another year in that offense, improving with Paul Goldschmidt going there in the offseason, I think that he will, if he could stay healthy and he can settle in, I think that those numbers could even improve. And if given that chance, man, you could be looking at a top 10 pitcher. So I would definitely buy in him there. The next name I'm going to move to is German Marquez, Herman Marquez, probably. He's being picked at around 103. Another young guy. He's entering his age 24 year, but he's already had 2 established seasons in the major leagues. So he's not exactly. He has a lot more experience than a 24-year-old starting pitcher normally has, and he's shown steady improvement throughout, with the second half of 2018 being really lights out. He was putting up ace numbers. I actually faced him in the playoffs for a few of my teams, and he kind of killed me. So if you bake that in, it is a little bit rough that he's pitching at Coors Field, but he had 230 Ks last year, and I like the team in that division, beating up on the Diamondbacks and the Giants. So I would buy in him at that price. Once again, moving on, we're going to go to Chris Archer. He's being picked at around 129. I'm a little bit hesitant on this name, a little bit more than other names on the list, but there are a lot of reasons to buy into him. He was arguably the biggest deadline deal for the Pirates or the MLB in general. So the Pirates have a lot of incentive to pitch him and have him do really well. He has a lot better of a lineup than if he had stayed in Tampa Bay. And now he has a franchise who's sort of bought into him. So he might be pitching with a little bit more confidence. And as I don't expect the Pirates to make the playoffs or contend for that division, but I do expect them to try to contend. They're not going to be tanking, and especially him. He, like I said, I'm sure they pumped him full of confidence this offseason, and he's going to want to do the franchise well for looking into him and trading for him. So he's obviously been over an ERA of 4 the last couple seasons, but you always get that strikeout potential with him, and he could beast this season. You never know with that lineup and the incentive. Moving on, we're going to go to Luis Castillo, who's being at around 124th picked on FantasyPros.com. He was one of the biggest disappointments in the 2018 season after he posted limited but really good 2017 ratios. People were expecting him to take that step up into the starting pitcher's world or whatnot, but he took a step back, had a little bit of a rough season. As I've alluded to in my other videos, the Reds offense has definitely seen a big injection of talent this offseason, and I expect them to put up a lot more runs. And he had a strong second half of 2018, so that combined with a good 2017, it leads me to believe that he could be a prime bounce back, and then that with the offense improvement, I would buy into him at that spot. He'd be a great starting pitcher 3. I have 3 more names I'm going to go to. The next name I'm going to go to is Nick Pivetta at 164, pitching for the Phillies. He's another young guy. I got a lot of young names on this list, but he's 26 years old and on a good and improving team, especially if they sign Bryce Harper, who I expect them to, if I were to predict right now. But he had a really nice K to innings pitched and also K to walk ratio. So if he turns up more quality outings, he did have a very scary 4.77 ERA, but that was a cause of a couple bad outings, a couple blow-ups. If he can tune up that to the high mid-3s, if he gets it to the mid-3s, I mean, with that K ratio, that would obviously translate in some wins with that improved offense. You're starting to see a pattern here, but I'm buying in him. He's young. Another year of comfortability in that with that offense improving, a decent team. If he just lowers that ERA and pitches a little bit smarter, then you're looking at a great investment there. 2 names who I am going to end on today, and I really like where they're being picked, is Shane Bieber. No relation to Justin, but yeah, he's a Cleveland pitcher, and he's being picked at around 173. Once again, age 24, really young, got his feet wet for Cleveland last year. He had a good K to innings pitched ratio, and that's also given the fact that he's dominated throughout the minors. So he dominated throughout the minors, got called up. The ERA was once again with Pivetta a little bit in the high 4s, which is a little bit scary, but you're going to buy into everything else. Dominating the minors, this guy in particular has a good amount of pitches, 3 or 4 that he can rely on and are really well. And it's just a high upside talent, especially pitching in that really poor division. I expect the White Sox, Twins, and Tigers Royals all to be not good at all. So that they should walk away with that division, and they will want him to get confidence if they want him to lock down a playoff rotation spot, or he can maybe even just rack up all those wins, and best case scenario, you get an all-star at around 173. That's definitely not out of the case. The last guy I'm going to end with today, his name is J.A. Happ for the New York Yankees. He's being picked at around 180. I think that he's being picked around here because he's 36 years old, and people don't want to buy into that older player. But even that being said, he struck out more batters than he had throughout his entire career last year. So there's not a sign that he's slowing down. He moved to the Yankees, which obviously one of the best lineups in the league. It's a team that traded for him and then signed him in the offseason after he did well. So it's a team that's interested in him. Once again, sown confidence into him. And I just think that he's going to go out there with a lot of incentive, pitch for a really good team, and try to win a World Series with that age coming up to the high 30s. But one thing I'd like to add with him is their staff is really unpredictable in terms of health, with Paxton, Tanaka, Sabathia reaching up there in age as well. So I don't think he'll have any problem reaching the full amount of starts and a full amount of innings as long as he can stay healthy. They're going to need him because their bullpen is going to take a hit if any of those guys, many of those guys miss time. He misses time. I just think that his role is going to be locked down as long as he can stay healthy, and he should be confident in blowing dudes away in New York. That being said, guys, it was a pleasure talking to you today. I really like these mid-tier pitchers. If you can line them up with any of the dudes I talked about yesterday, you'll be looking really good. And tomorrow, we'll probably end with a part 3 sleepers video on starting pitchers. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.